thank you to our sponsor, MBA Growth Partners.
Welcome to Studio 501c3. I'm your host, Kim Jones, CEO of the Nonprofit Village, a capacity builder and shared space for nonprofits. Our show features nonprofit organizations that provide critical and essential programs and services. They're charities that the IRS has designated as 501c3 because of their public benefit, making most of your donations tax deductible. We're a proud partner of Montgomery Community Media, and they are your public resource that provides access to a variety of information and programs relevant to our community. On today's episode, I have the chance to talk with Mariana McNeil, the Executive Director of Career Catchers, I think also known as MANA. Mariana, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me today, Kim.
So the organization helps clients access training, long-term career development by providing mostly individualized employment and job skill counseling. You've been operating for about 15 years, I believe, and providing work and career services to those that are underserved or unemployed. Share with us more about this program and the complexity of what you're going through in trying to sustain employment for your clients.
Thank you. So the program started, as you said, about 14, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we started out helping domestic violence victims and people in shelters. What we realized was that, getting a job can seem easy when you have a network of people to whom you can go and, you understand the process of finding a job in the U.S. and that sort of thing. But for somebody who doesn't have that social network of people who can help them find a work, mm-hmm. or who doesn't understand that, in the U.S., you have to have an interview and you have to have a resume. And so we realized there was a real need among people who didn't have the same advantages as some of us did. And so we started, as I said, with domestic violence victims. Mm-hmm. And then we went on to work with people in shelters. And pretty soon we had contracts with various agencies in the county, with some other nonprofits who were serving clients who could use our services. Mm-hmm. And we're now up to working with 800 people a year.
Wow. Well, that's incredible, 800. So I want to come back to that but I first want to ask you, there are so many programs that will provide employment services, employment counseling, but it's done, in large group settings or through databases. You actually work one-on-one. You have a very unique, individualized program. Why does that one-on-one work so well for your clients?
So I think the reason is, Kim, that all of us can use that extra little bit of support. Mm-hmm. And when someone says to you, here's how you make a resume, and you're in a class with 15 other people, mm-hmm. You don't really understand what you're supposed to do. But if I sit down with you and I say, Kim, when did you last work? What did you do in that job? Oh, did you ever have any managerial role that you played? Or did you ever train somebody else? I pull out things from you that you might not have thought to put in your resume. But that can only happen when you and I have a one-on-one conversation and you're comfortable talking to me about it.
Okay. So that makes sense. So let's go back to something else that you said. 800 individuals were served. That was an uptick also over the past year.
Yes, it was a huge uptick. Yeah. So when COVID hit and we all had to go home, which we thought was for 2 weeks, we thought, all right, we can do 2 weeks without being in the office. And then when we realized it had to be longer, we had to figure out what we were going to do. And we realized from listening to our clients that they were all scrambling to figure out how to get unemployment benefits. Mm-hmm. And so we hired somebody to just work on that with people who needed it, because the system in Maryland, the national system, everything was so screwed up and so mm-hmm. hard to figure out. So that was complex. How we ended up serving more people.
Yeah, it's a complicated system. Yeah.
So we went from 520 or so the year before to 800 last year. Now, a lot of those were people that we just served, teaching them how to do that unemployment. We didn't do anything more with them, but that was a huge benefit. And we also worked on the Montgomery County program that provided cash assistance to people who didn't qualify for unemployment or who didn't qualify for a stimulus check. Right. So we helped about 140 families that way as well, that were clients we hadn't served previously.
So do you see that your programs are now having to expand in terms of what the needs are? They're changing needs, obviously because of the pandemic, but there are probably other changing needs. Are you having to make shifts and adjustments?
Yes, we are. And I think that's part of the our ability to do that is because we are a relatively small organization and we can try things. You know, we can say, okay, people are saying they need help with unemployment assistance. Let's do it. And we did it. And a lot of people got helped. Or we can say, it looks like this set of clients really needs help with their English language skills. Let's get them that help. So we get volunteers. We added a volunteer coordinator, and now we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 or 35 volunteers working individually with our clients. But we also maintain a relationship with the volunteer and the client to make sure that it's meeting both of their needs. So as we see an emerging need from our client base, we try to figure out how we can provide that service to them.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I think everybody is learning to be a lot more nimble. And in many ways, organizations are learning to be more entrepreneurial. So as we come out of one crisis into another, and there'll be another one coming. But we're going to go to break in about 30 seconds. You have a lot of partners that you work with?
We do. Okay. We work with probably 30 partners, some of whom make referrals to us, some of whom we make referrals to. If somebody needs clothing for an interview, we send them to Interfaith Works or a wider circle.
Okay. All right. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. We're going to take this short break, and then we'll hear more about the Career Catchers program. Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media will be right back.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Oh boy. Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to Studio 501c3, your window into exceptional nonprofit programs in Montgomery County. I'm talking with Mariana McNeil, the Executive Director of Career Catchers. So before the break, Mana, we were talking about some of the partners and not only the government agencies, but the corporations, other nonprofits. It's an extensive network of organizations that you're helping people to navigate.
Yeah. So, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, and we don't want to be doing something that someone else is already doing. So we're very careful to stay in our lane, in our wheelhouse, if you will. But we realize that in order for someone to get a job, there are lots of other resources they're going to need, and they're going to need help with. If it's a mom, she's going to need childcare. Everybody needs to have transportation to get where they're going. So we try to refer clients to agencies and organizations that can help them with the other barriers that they may have that would prevent them from getting the employment they're looking for.
Okay. And then what about the referral process? Because you said that you refer people to a lot of other resources, but a lot of those community organizations also refer to you. Does a referral come directly to you from another organization? Can an individual call you directly and say, I'd like to see if I can enroll in some of your services? Mm-hmm. What's the process?
Yeah, so the process is that we mostly only take referrals from agencies with whom we have a contract or an arrangement.
I see.
And there are a number of those in the county. But there are people who say, oh, my mother really needs your help too, or my brother could really benefit from your help. And so realizing that we don't want to turn people away, we let anyone who wants to attend our 2 weekly workshops, which are workshops. So they are a group setting. It's not really our model, but there's still a lot of good information. But we also have a program where if somebody really wants to and they can, we have a copay, a sliding scale copay that starts at $20, which is a lot of money for a lot of people. I understand that. Right. But so that would be the way that somebody could come and use our services if there was no other referral that could bring them to us.
I see. Okay. And something that you talked about in the beginning of the show, when you first started this program, this was working with those who were victims of domestic violence. I imagine that ability to work with people one-on-one could also boost the self-esteem of someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're a victim of domestic violence, it becomes sometimes a broken system for you. And,
right.
And when you have that one-on-one, so we've got about a minute left. Does that make a difference in building self-esteem?
I think it does. And, one of the 3 legs of our mission is to build self-esteem and empowerment. Okay. And I think that came out of our work with domestic violence victims, realizing that you're not going to get a job if you don't believe in yourself. So that's our first goal, is to help you believe in yourself. And actually, during the pandemic, a lot of our domestic violence clients came to us and said, could we have a workshop on empowerment building? So we do that once a week now, and it's gotten more and more attendance every week. And we focus on things like, what are your strengths? What are you bringing to the party for a job? And it's been very well received.
Very good. Very good. Volunteers? Do you train volunteers? Need volunteers?
So we're very picky about our volunteers. We want to make sure they're doing what they want to do, and we want to make sure that we can use what they want to do. Right. So we have now, as I said, a volunteer coordinator who interviews all our volunteers and does the background checks and all of that. But more importantly, she makes sure that it's a good match for the volunteer and the client. And sometimes we have volunteers who find out about us and come to us, and through that, we've started some programs we didn't have before that are very helpful to clients. Like one volunteer said, oh, I'd really like to teach a class on QuickBooks. And we were like, wow, that's great. And so we got clients, and she taught the class, and everybody, we've offered that several times because it was so well received.
Good. All right. Well, that's helpful. So I'm sorry to say that we're out of time, but I hope that the viewers have learned a lot more about the services provided by Career Catchers and the work to create careers and really improve job placement. Mariana, I want to thank you for sharing great information with the audience today.
Thank you so much, Kim, for taking the time to interview me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So for more information on their programs, visit the website at careercatchers.org. It's also on your screen. I'm Kim Jones. Thanks for joining us, and come back for another edition of Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media.